This is a battle in the Age of Charlemagne Flash tournament hosted by the Aggony clan, and in this battle we have Houseplant coming up against Poccopacs. We have the Kingdom of Mercia against the Kingdom of Charlemagne. So Mercia has a front line of feared archers, a total of 4 feared archers, crappy archers. The flanks are feared spearmen, horsemen, select axes. The center, very sturdy 4 royal thanes and 1 royal companion. When these guys drop shield wall, the only infantry units that don't need to fear them are big axes and berserkers. And the flanks are identical on this side. Now for the Kingdom of Charlemagne we have 4 Frankish cavalry, we have 4 Frankish horse, Frankish cavalry being the more sturdy of the 2. Then we have the guard general, we have archers, we have armored swords. Let's see, 2 armored swords on the flanks, we have Frankish spears, then we have 2 armored spears. So once again we see more infantry of the spear variety than melee infantry, and interesting because this Frankish army, having 9 cav units, you're essentially banking on cav superiority to win you the battle, because there are only these 2 melee infantry units. So I think the reasoning behind this army is managing to win the cav fight decisively, and then hammering the infantry with the cavalry that you have remaining. That might not be easy against this army. This Mercian army, and particularly on this map, because the Mercian army is moving up on the flanks and it could be able to secure these ridges. The only thing that could push these guys back, because the select axemen are very good on the charge, 32 charge bonus, they have poor armor. The archers here could push these flanks back here, but this is very nice. Like, you have these archers could just move up on the ridges and support. The feared archers, also crappy archers. Firing down, they would be able to do well against the standard archers, even though these archers have a better missile damage. If these feared archers manage to move up on the hill here, they're going to do really well firing down. Cost-effective trades all around. And the royal thanes, you don't really want to charge melee cavalry into royal thanes necessarily, because there aren't any good units to do the follow-up with here. Armored swords are going to get absolutely slaughtered by royal thanes. They have 50 melee damage, and the heavy melee cavalry isn't going to do that well against the royal thanes here. So a bit of maneuvering going on early in the game. Okay, the Frankish army is, you can see the way it's deployed, it's kind of geared towards frontal assault and then cavalry flanking, but these flanks here are extremely well protected, and now the archers are moving up on the flanks as well, it seems. So these flanks are very well protected, and if the cavalry decides to engage frontally, then these flanks here could very well come in and crush the cavalry. Now the royal thanes would have no problems engaging this center. The only thing they need to be wary about is if these armored swords drop their shield wall, then the royal thanes are not going to like charging them whatsoever, because then they are on equal footing in terms of raw damage. And let's see, 47 melee attack, 34. So the melee attack becomes very similar. But the melee defense becomes better for these armored swords when they go in shield wall. And these archers are actually already firing. This would be the time to use heavy shot, and it might seem like a waste firing on these Frankish spears. And I would kind of, yeah, it is, because they are in a spear wall. So 65% missile block, even though they only have 10 armor, that missile block is quite substantial. It's a good marker on the abilities there. These archers would be a better target. Because these feared archers, they are losing ammunition and they're not getting the kills they need to be cost effective here. Moving back the center, you don't want to be taking any heavy shot on these Royal Thanes, only 40% missile block. But now these feared archers shouldn't do too well at all. But these guys could trade exceptionally well. They're firing down the flanks on the archers. And they have the elevated position, so these archers should start dropping. They still have 100 health, so it's going to take a few volleys. But now their health is starting to deplete and they are starting to drop. These archers here though, they're taking a beating because they're getting focused on, so not getting a lot of kills, but this unit is going to be getting nice kills. Yeah, the archers pulling back. Now they're starting to become ineffective because they are losing a lot of men, they're losing ammunition against very cheap units here. And these third archers on the hill, they're just going to trade so well. And these third archers not even firing now. These third archers are insisting on shooting at this unit and they're just not getting anything in return for that. And oh, nice, here come the horsemen. Chasing the archers away, so a few more free kills here for the feared archers. The Frankish horse move up to support. But they can't move too far because then they're going to start taking fire. These horsemen are actually taking flaming shots. Oh, they're dropping. Bit too slow in pulling back there, and flaming shot being fired on the archers here, so I guess those flaming shots were intended for the cavalry, but they the cavalry was pulled back in time. Still firing on the Frankish spearmen or these feared archers. Now they're giving attack orders on the armored spears, and that's a much better target. But still the angle isn't great. I mean, getting these guys up here on the hill would probably be a lot better. Because once these guys are not in shield wall though. And these archers here, they do have the support of their friends here. And nice cav charge. Now the cav needs to disengage really quickly because there are Frankish horse chasing them away. But they did manage to do that. They did manage to break the archers. The archers are going to come back. And the horsemen taking a few casualties on the disengage. Yeah, the archers came back from routing. And here come the Frankish cavalry. But yeah, they're going to get screened away very easily by the flanks here. Nice flanking shots now into the armored spears. Any kind of hit point damage before main engagement start is just so useful. If a melee unit has taken a few volleys before the engagement starts and it's fighting a unit of equal quality or even superior quality, that unit might end up losing very quickly because of the prior hit point damage. Big push here from Charlemagne on the flanks. The archers are starting to run out of ammunition. These Frankish spears have taken a beating, but that's what they're there for. They've been absorbing a lot of missiles. So focusing on the flank here, the Frankish cavalry superior to the horsemen of Mercia. But looks like the feared spearmen are going to move into... Oh, nicely done, nice bait. So the feared spearmen gets hammered by the Frankish cavalry. They didn't get their expert charge defense bonuses because they were running. Still managed to kill some Frankish cavalry on the disengage. And now they're getting rear charged by the Frankish cavalry here, so this is quite chaotic here on the flanks. The Frankish cavalry getting nice kills. The feared spearmen are going to break here, but downhill charges coming from the horsemen into the backs of the Frankish cavalry. And the Royal Thanes are going to start engaging armoured spears. This is an engagement I'm quite interested in. Royal Thanes downhill into armoured spears. The armoured spears should just disappear. And moving around the flanks, doing a flanking maneuver here is the flank of the Mercians. Yeah, the armoured spearmen losing decisively there. Nice flaming shot downhill onto these Frankish cavalry units. The select axemen break through the Frankish spears, but they need to be careful because they do not like getting charged by heavy melee. So getting up the hill should help them a bit at least. But now they're getting attacked in the rear by so many cavalry units. Still pretty good that the horsemen are able to intercept and charge downhill. Now the axes could turn around and start killing a lot of enemy cavalry. So while that's been going on, engagements happening on the flanks here. Frankish cavalry charging into select axemen. The select axemen are going to disappear under the assault of the Frankish cavalry. But the Frankish cavalry needs to be careful because there's a lot of these spear units running about. Over here as well, getting the Frankish horse into the select axemen. The select axemen, they do not have the armor to stand up to that. But over here it's going relatively well for Mercia. They're getting some access into the cav fights. That's always good. Like this charge here from the select axemen should do a lot of damage to the enemy cav. But a nice rear charge incoming here for the select against the select axemen, but the unit was very depleted. So the Royal Thanes are breaking through wherever they make contact with enemy units. And the Guard General is in a lot of trouble. It's not able to disengage properly, and that's something you have to be really, really careful about in Age of Charlemagne. It's hard to disengage cavalry once there are multiple units like this, and the Guard General of the Franks might die at any point. But the Franks still have a lot of cavalry running around. That's the dangerous thing about the Franks. They can bring a lot of cost-effective cavalry. So moving up the hill here are the Mercians. Almost like the battle of Hastings. This rushing down the hill, rushing back up. The cavalry trying to exploit weak points. If the Franks only had more archers, and were able to snipe the Mercian general. So rear charge coming down. Better, but still these Frankish horsemen are just going to get slaughtered. Still, it could be worth it because the armored swordsmen are going to get a rear charge here, so the Royal Thanes losing decisively. But now they're going to get help, a lot of help actually, from select axemen. Very, very nice engagement, but the Frankish cavalry, yeah, the Frankish cavalry doesn't have the armor to stand up to axes and to the charges. These royal companions. Oh, also war cry being used on this Frankish cavalry unit to break it faster. Nicely done. These skirmishers are in a bit of a pickle, getting attacked by Frankish cavalry, but the select axemen in the forest on the hill, not a target you want to engage with the depleted cav units. Here we have two almost full strength units of armored spears. And still flaming ammo, so important. Flaming ammo being used here against the Frankish cavalry running away. So this Frankish cavalry is going to take a lot of casualties and hit point damage. Might even break here. The Franks are consolidating their forces. The Mercians hugging the hill. Quite an epic ending to this battle. You know what? This is screenshot time. It's not often that I do this, but this is the Battle of Hastings. I mean, I have to get a nice screenshot of these. Oh yeah, these guys looking down at the consolidating forces of the Franks. Nice map choice, I have to say. The way this battle has been developing has been quite enjoyable. So yeah, sorry about that, I just had to do it because this was epic. Now, of course, if you're the Franks here, you're going to be a bit frustrated because You have a lot of spears left, you have a lot of cavalry left, and on the hill facing you, you have Royal Thanes with 200 kills, 119, 87 and 78. Some light skirmish support, and hiding in the back here, select axis. So this is the Mercians being very aware of what their weaknesses are, because if the Mercians decided to engage in the center here, then the cavalry of the Franks would just be a lot more effective. Now let's fast forward here while there's the maneuvering going on, because what we could have happen in this type of scenario is that both players could just adopt a defensive stance and say, come at me, bro. I'm trying to break the Frankish spearmen here with a few shots. It looks like the Mercians are going to be the ones that forego their defensive position and go chasing after the Franks. Using some flaming ammunition as well, moving from forest to forest. This is a lot more tactical and a lot more strategic than anything I've seen in Attila thus far. Just not engaging directly, but taking terrain without really camping, like moving from terrain to terrain. Okay, this hill is reasonably safe, but I'm not going to get the Franks to engage me there, so I'm going to move into the forest. Now it's interesting to see which direction the Mercians decide to engage from. Because the Franks do have, but the Franks only really have these two armored spearmen in terms of infantry, and those armored spearmen, as we saw previously, they are going to take a royal beating against the Royal Thanes. Sneaking up in shield wall now. Well, not shield wall anymore, but walking so as to not deplete their stamina. The cavalry moving up on the flanks. Infantry center. There is no Mercian cavalry remaining. But all of these Frankish cav units are one charge away from getting smashed. And their kills are not that immense. Now I always read the comments. I don't reply to all of them because I don't have the time for it, but some people have been saying it's nice to see that cavalry is less powerful. Some people have been saying that it still seems like the player with the most cavalry wins. And sure, on an open map, if one player brings a lot of skirmishers and one person brings a lot of cavalry, then it only takes a few of those cav units getting into the skirmishers before that advantage is taken away, the skirmish advantage. But against a very solid infantry army with light cavalry support and light skirmish support, the medium melee units and even the heavy melee units, they can do exceptionally well against lightly armored axe units. But they don't do that well against very heavy melee units anymore. You need really elite cavalry for that to be viable. And rear charges. Rear charges work, but it's so hard to disengage now. So hard to disengage without losing a lot of your men. So the center is pulling back, the cavalry is moving around, and now the Mercians are about to find themselves surrounded. But Flaming Shot is taking down these Frankish cavalry, so yeah, the Frankish cavalry starting to engage. But these skirmish units are so depleted. It doesn't really matter at this point. Let's see, the cavalry might even lose men if they try to disengage here.
Our men have given up and are running for their lives.
No, they did. Well, they could. Let's see. Yeah, now they're losing men rapidly. Yeah, they lost 6 men disengaging there. So one cav unit about to break, one disengaging and losing 6 men. Now here the Royal Thanes engaging. Nice rear charge here into the back of the Royal Thanes. And the Royal Thanes are dropping really quickly from that double cav charge. They had taken prior casualties, they had taken prior damage, and the Royal Thanes are getting defeated there. So these rear charges from the Franks are really hurting. Now the select axemen are going to make mincemeal out of the armored spearmen. Together with the Royal Thanes, of course. So now using the third archers as a screen against the Frankish horsemen, that's a very good idea. Here come the Frankish spearmen. The Royal Thanes were just able to turn around, and they're going to get a lot of kills in this engagement, both on cavalry and on infantry. So the guardsmen using brace, increasing attack against cavalry and increasing mass. The Royal Thanes, ooh, now the Frankish general is dying. The Royal Thanes are carrying on their bloody business. Nicely done here in turning around the select axemen, getting a downhill charge on the Frankish cavalry. And the Franks are about to chain rout now. Balance of power making itself felt. And that's it for the Franks. Very nice battle, one of the longest I've seen thus far, one of the most tactical. And if you look at the cavalry here, some of the Frankish cavalry does an exceptional job. Some of the spears even do a decent job, but the Royal Thanes carried the day here. 300 kills, 125, 167, 99. Some of the axes do well. The horsemen of Mercia weren't used. I mean, they are not great cavalry units. They are very cheap, and you don't expect them to get that many kills. The Franks were able to get some nice rear charges in the late game, but I think this particular map is a very hard map to use this army, because the Kingdom of Charlemagne's main line cannot engage the main line of Mercia, and when the flanks are protected by forest, hills, there are archers there are spear units there, then it's really tough for the Kingdom of Charlemagne. So this Mercian army, I quite like that combination of rock solid melee infantry in the form of Royal Thanes, and then the support units, the select axemen, that can cause absolute devastation to cavalry. If they aren't charged, they can cause absolute devastation to enemy spear units. So this is a nice and super balanced army. We have 4 cav, we have 4 axes, we have 5 melee, we have 2 spears, bit of everything. And then the Kingdom of Charlemagne's army having 6 spears, 2 melee, and a lot of cavalry, 9 cavalry units. So depending on the map, I think this Charlemagne army would do a lot better if the map was, let's say, a Nemetu type of map. Then the cavalry would have free reign of the battlefield. But once you start having a few terrain features, things start to change. So very nice battle. Thanks for sending it, Poccopacs. Great game, guys. Strength and honor.